Minimum wage and the effect on poverty in America. Introduction. Increasing the minimum wage will not affect the unemployment rate, even though many economists will have you believe that. How minimum wage is currently affecting poverty in America, raising the minimum wage will lessen poverty among Americans. Relevance of the research. I know many people that are struggling because they work for minimum wage and are not able to afford the basic cost of living. My purpose is to find out if raising the minimum wage will allow these people to keep up with the cost of living. Minimum wage current effect. How is poverty affected by the current minimum wage? A worker on minimum wage is not able to afford a two-bedroom apartment rent without help from the government. Dolberg stated that the two-bedroom fair market rent is out of reach for about half of all renters in non-metropolitan areas in 10 states. Some families that work for minimum wage may be able to afford rent if the minimum wage is raised and have some money left over. Minimum wage effect on food and diet. Processed foods with added sugar and fats are more affordable than the recommended healthy foods. People on minimum wage tend to buy more of this processed food. So the highest rate of obesity and diabetes are more common among minorities and the working poor. What is needed is a comprehensive policy approach that takes behavioral nutrition and the economics of food choice into account. By raising the minimum wage and educating people about nutrition and better food choices, the rate of obesity and diabetes can be lowered. Minimum wage affect healthcare. Even if families of low incomes have insurance, they may not be able to pay deductibles if they need medicines. Not be able to afford these medicines cause stress and affect their health. Raising the minimum wage should relieve some of the financial stress that comes from not being able to afford health insurance. The wave of research evidence indicates that an increase in the minimum wage would improve the health of the United States population and likely help restrain the soaring cost of medical care. Counter argument. Some companies may cap on labor to keep the cost down. An increasing of the minimum wage will not reduce poverty and it may result in higher prices for consumers. Response to the opponent's counter argument. Raising the minimum wage will get the economy back in track. People on minimum wage will be able to spend in the real economy, boosting consumer purchasing power and economic recovery. Alternative solution to the opponent's argument. Minimum wage is not just about income inequality, but rather it is about how the economic system has been hijacked by the elite and made it work less productively than before while redistributing more of what is working to themselves. Conclusion. It is always a struggle keeping up with the ever-changing cost of living depending on the size of the families and their necessities. These necessities take the great majority of their earnings, making it hard to come up with enough money for the basic cost of living. An increasing of the minimum wage may lessen poverty among Americans as cost of living keeps increasing. Reflections on your research paper. The cost of living is always increasing and working on minimum wage makes it hard to keep up with it. By increasing the minimum wage and educating people in making better choices when buying food and spending on everyday items people on minimum wage. I believe we should be able to live in more comfortable life without stressing and worrying about not being able to afford the basics of living. Reflections on the course. I have learned many things throughout this course, including such things as how to do a research, how to find a topic for my research, how to improve a research I have already written, how to use my peers' review to improve my research, how to cite my research. I also learned how to produce a rough draft and then go over it and decide if what I was writing was its best form. Most of my drafts need improvement, but if it didn't, it would not be a rough draft, so it was understood. Word cited reference.